the heart of Sydney, a young woman named Arnima Hayat was on the path to realizing her dream of becoming a doctor. UST 19. She was a dedicated medical student, full of promise and ambition. But January 2022, her life was abruptly and tragically ended. The circumstances surrounding her death were not only shocking, but also deeply unsettling. How could a bright future be so violently taken away? What evil to this unimaginable tragedy? Today, we into the harrowing story of Arnima Hayat, seeking to understand the factors that culminated in her untimely demise. Welcome to True Crime Files, where we delve into true crime stories with depth and respect. If you appreciate in-depth true crime analyses, please like this video and subscribe for more. Arnima Hayat was just 19 years old, a young woman with her entire future ahead of her. She was bright, driven, and had dreams that were built on years of hard work and determination. From an early age, she had set her sights on a career in medicine. She wanted to save lives, to make a difference in the world. For years, she had put in the effort, long nights of studying, early mornings filled with ambition, and a dedication to her education that few could match. Her family, proud of her accomplishments, supported her every step of the way. They had watched her grow from a curious child to a determined young woman, someone who was not only academically gifted, but also kind-hearted, caring, and full of hope for the future. She was the kind of daughter any parent would be proud of, the kind of person who brought warmth into the lives of those around her. In October of 2021, Arnima made a decision that would change the course of her life. She married Marij Zuffer, a man several years older than her. Their wedding was private, with little fanfare. To many, it seemed like the beginning of a new chapter. But behind closed doors, something else was taking shape. Arnima's family noticed a change. She became more distant, less present in their lives. Conversations grew shorter, her once vibrant energy dimmed. There were moments when concern crept into their minds, but like many families, they hoped she was simply adjusting to married life. They hoped she was happy, but happiness was not what awaited her. The relationship between Arnima and Marij was not built on mutual respect. From the outside, there were no glaring signs. But behind the walls of their home, a different reality existed. There were arguments, there were accusations, and then there was control. Reports suggest that Marij had a temper. He was possessive. Over time, Arnima's independence, once her greatest strength, became something she had to fight to hold on to. The isolation grew. Her world, once filled with ambition and promise, began to shrink. Then, on January 29, 2022, it all came to a brutal and horrifying end. At some point that day, an argument took place. What was said in those final moments, we may never fully know. What we do know is that Marij Zuffer took the life of his wife in their shared home in Sydney. And it did not end there. After the murder, he made calculated decisions. He didn't run. He didn't call for help. Instead, he sought out ways to destroy the evidence. He searched for answers on his phone, on his computer, looking up things that no innocent man would ever need to know. His searches would later become key evidence in the investigation. Marij purchased hydrochloric acid, large amounts of it. He brought it back to their home. He had a plan. A chilling, calculated plan. He attempted to use the acid to erase what he had done, but the truth is not so easily washed away. Arnima's body was found in the bathtub, submerged in the corrosive substance. The discovery was gruesome. It was clear that this was not a crime of passion, not a moment of lost control. It was something else, something that required intent. Marij did not stick around. Once he realized he could not hide what he had done, he fled. He was gone before the police arrived, before they had even been called. But he could not run forever. The investigation moved quickly. Authorities pieced together the timeline, tracked his movements, reviewed the digital evidence he had left behind. And within hours, a manhunt was underway. Marij Zuffer turned himself in. Perhaps he realized there was no escaping the truth. Perhaps he thought he could control the narrative. Regardless, he walked into a police station and was taken into custody. The legal battle that followed stretched on. For months, there were hearings, statements, delays. Arnima's family sat through it all, reliving their worst nightmare over and over again. The weight of grief, of loss, of unanswered questions. None of it got easier. In December of 2024, Marriage Zuffer pleaded guilty. There would be no trial, no lengthy defense. He accepted his fate. The sentence was handed down. 21 years in prison, with a minimum of 16 years before the possibility of parole. For Arnima's family, the ruling was not justice. Nothing could ever be justice. Justice would have been their daughter, their sister, their friend, alive and well. Justice would have been her graduating from medical school, stepping into the life she had dreamed of. Justice would have been her future, intact. Instead, they were left with memories and a void that could never be filled. Her parents spoke out. They shared their heartbreak, their pain. They spoke not just for their daughter, but for all the women who have been trapped in relationships that turned dangerous, for all the families who have lost loved ones to domestic violence. They wanted the world to remember Arnima not for the way her life ended, but for the person she was before was stolen from her. Her story is not just a tragedy, it is a warning, a painful reminder that control, manipulation, and violence do not always appear suddenly. Sometimes, they grow in silence behind closed doors, in the spaces where no one is watching. Domestic violence is not always loud. It does not always come with visible bruises or broken bones. Sometimes, it is in the words that make someone doubt their worth, in the restrictions placed on their freedom, in the fear that makes them walk on eggshells. For those watching, those listening, those who may know someone in a situation that feels unsafe, there is help. There are people who will listen, people who will believe you, because every life lost to violence is one too many. Arnima's name will not be forgotten. Her story will not be erased. She was a daughter, a friend, a student. She had dreams. She had goals. She had a future. Until one man decided she would not. And that is something that can never be undone. A young woman, full of ambition, with dreams of healing others, had her life stolen in the most unthinkable way. She was a daughter, a student, a friend, someone who had worked tirelessly toward a future she would never get to see. Her story began like so many others. A new marriage, a new beginning, a step into adulthood filled with hope. But that hope was taken from her. Control tightened. Choices became fewer. And before anyone could intervene, it was too late. A moment of violence. A deliberate attempt to erase the truth. A search history that revealed everything. A man who believed he could walk away from the consequences of his actions. But justice, in its imperfect form, caught up to him. For Arnima's family, no sentence will bring her back. No ruling will fill the void she left behind. Their daughter is gone. Their pain is permanent. Yet, they share her story, not just to remember her, but to warn others, to shine a light on the dangers that can exist behind closed doors. This is not just one story. It is one of many. And it raises a question we cannot ignore. How many more will there be? In our next episode, we'll explore another case. One that reveals the warning signs so often missed, the silent cries for help, and the consequences of a world that too often looks away. If you found this analysis informative, please like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated. Every story deserves to be told. Every voice deserves to be heard.